Welcome to OTR Debate, our off-the-record podcast where three lawyers debate all things while managing to find out how it all comes back to the law. My name is Lando. I'm a prosecutor in the real world, but since then, I've moved to the Kingdom of Hyrule, and I've been appointed by Princess Zelda to be a kingdom judge. Today on the docket, I have the princess herself, who's represented by counsel, as well as Mario. I can't. That's a ridiculous name. Counsels, can you please introduce yourselves, your field, and who you are representing at this time?
I'm Mucci. I mostly work in immigration, but I'm taking on a defamation case for Princess Zelda here.
Okay.
And my name is Wee. I do contracts, and I will be representing Mario, and I do not like the fact that the judge already is making fun of my client.
And I'm surprised you didn't file a motion for forum nonconvenience since it's in Hyrule, but I mean, hey, that's in the past.
And of course,
it's not that inconvenient, and just hop in a pipe and show up.
Yeah, they've finished that construction, to connect the Mushroom Kingdom to Hyrule.
Yeah. And counsel, I know you are representing Zelda. Do you want to tell us how we've got here?
Yes. Briefly, I will walk us through. So, Mario was spray painting some defamatory statements on these green pipes all over that just brought it up all over Hyrule recently. Stuff like Mario rules, Zelda drools, both with a Z. Mario games, Zelda lames, also with Z's. He seems to be obsessed with Z's. Maybe he's obsessed with my client, Princess Zelda. But, Mario, come on, get your own princess, I guess, is what I'd say to that. But that's neither here nor there.
It's there. It's not here in Hyrule.
What, did he find a princess yet? Did he rescue her? Well, we'll talk about that.
Neither here nor there.
Okay, yeah.
Well, it's there.
So, to be clear, this isn't a criminal case, right? This is not a criminal damage to property. We're not here discussing whether or not Mario actually spray painted, whatever. No criminal damage to government property or kingdom property, I suppose. This is solely a defamation case. Am I right, counsel?
Yes, this is a civil lawsuit.
Okay. So, what are you alleging at this point?
That Mario made these statements that were false with the intent to, with reckless disregard for the truth of what was asserted, and that Princess Zelda suffered damages in lack of respect in her kingdom.
Okay. And specifically, that what statements are false?
That, Zelda drools. She does not drool, in fact. And that her games are worse somehow than Mario's.
Okay. Yeah. And now that we know the parameters and we know what this the litigation is about, as always, the format for those listening and watching, the format of our show is opening statements followed by questions by me, the judge. Then we will get to a, closing arguments and a verdict. So at this time, since it is a lawsuit brought by Princess Zelda and her counsel, would you like to start, Mucci?
Yes. So the Legend of Zelda series is superior to the Mario series, or at least is not worse than it, because it establishes this world where you can go anywhere from the very first game and explore at your own pace and in a non-linear fashion, unlike the Mario games that are, very linear, go forward through the level kind of games. For the very first Legend of Zelda, you have to, Link, my client's rescuer in many of these games.
Paramore, oftentimes, I feel like.
Yeah. He's in the business of misery, but, against Ganon and Ganondorf saving the kingdom. That's who he deals, his misery business towards. But he, he starts out with nothing. He goes and finds a sword. He was given a sword, and that is his first, step on his quest to move forward. And, it doesn't hold your hand. You can go anywhere in these games, and they've only gotten more and more expansive in that regard, and have more nooks and crannies and little secrets in the world and things to discover for your own. And I think that is what makes Zelda a superior franchise to Mario, and why it is a falsehood to say that the Mario games are better and that Mario rules and Zelda rules.
Okay. All right. Very well stated. Counsel?
Yeah, I disagree.
Solid start.
The Mario series is one of gaming's most successful and renowned franchises. In particular, the Super Mario sub-series is considered to be some of the best gaming of all time. It's the best-selling video game franchise of all time, with more than 830 million copies sold worldwide, including more than 430 million for the Super Mario games alone. So the flagship Mario sub-series started in the 1980s, and it does, like my opposing counsel had mentioned, mostly through a linear world. Follows Mario through the adventures of the Mushroom Kingdom, and they typically rely on Mario's jumping ability to allow him to progress through these levels. But since then, the franchise has spawned over 200 different sub-series, including Mario Golf, Mario Kart, Mario Party, Mario Tennis, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, Paper Mario, Mario and Luigi series, and a lot of the characters that come up in Mario and the Super Mario series end up having their own spin-offs to much success, like Yoshi, Wario, sorry. And beyond just the video gaming, the franchise has also led Mario to appear in many other media, such as television, comics, movies, and even in person in the real human world at Super Nintendo World at Universal Studios. So that being said, Mario is a better franchise than Zelda.
Now that we've heard the openings, let's get to the questions. Talk me through your video games franchise similarities, departures from the styles that they're known for, and just kind of talk me through your games franchise.
Sure. Well, our judge for today has, in several previous episodes, mentioned that he loves open world games and even wanted Street Fighter to be open world. And hey,
that was before I was a judge in Hyrule.
Right. But Legend of Zelda is definitely a pioneer in that world. And also, yeah, I mean, we've talked about Fortnite before, how his judge likes the ability to go all over the map and go in any direction. But Legend of Zelda is, from its beginnings, a pioneer in that genre. From the very first game in 1986 on the Nintendo Entertainment System. So, as I stated in my opening, you begin as Link, and you eventually, you can go anywhere, but there's enemies all around you. Maybe you find this cave, though, in the first area, and someone tells you, it's dangerous to go alone. Take this, and gives him a sword. And somehow this weapon makes you feel a little less alone, I guess. But you're then free to explore the world, find and master the various dungeons, solve puzzles, get pieces of the Triforce, and then finally defeat Ganon. But there's no arrows pointing you where to go. There's just multiple different screens. You can go up, down, left, right on many different screens. If you go in a different area of a screen, maybe you pop up in a different area of the next screen. So rudimentary, in some senses, but this is back, in the 80s. But now that's expanded to games where you can kind of go anywhere and do anything. The crafting in the new game is just like you can make things that the developers probably couldn't have even thought of, and you just go anywhere, explore up and underground and all over, and in the sky. But IGN, the media company that covers video games, says this is where the roots of open world game design came from, is from Legend of Zelda.
Okay.
And calling the first installment the first really good game based on exploration. So the first one to actually really reward you for looking, going through the world and finding
about the first
things. The very first one, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The one that was styled like it's kind of like Pokemon. The way that it looked.
Pokemon's kind of like it,
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
A decade later, about. And then GameSpot, also another online publication about video games, said never had a game so open-ended, non-linear, and liberating had been released on the mainstream market. So, yeah, maybe there were some other, games that that inspired it, but this was like one that was like actually really successful at it, and way before we even called things open world games, before like Grand Theft Auto 3, so yeah, it's only kind of expanded from there, and that's what makes it so unique and such a singular, great fun games to play.
Okay. Counsel?
So Plaintiff seems to focus on the open world concept.
He does.
And I'd just like to acknowledge that the Mario franchise also has some open world games as well, including Super Mario Odyssey. Is their attempt at open world, and I think
they didn't get
a
all the way there.
successful attempt. They've also have a new Super Mario Wonder on the Switch that is also open world. And consumers don't want to be limited to a single genre of gaming. Mario is such a versatile character. As I mentioned earlier, he's been featured in more than 200 games, 256 games in various genres, including first-person shooter, sports, puzzles, party, racing, that just satisfy consumers more than just an open-world concept game would. And personally, I like Super Mario Party a lot, or Mario Party.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
That's
it's allows a lot of friends to play. Goes beyond the single kind of player game that normally comes with open world concept, and you just are able to enjoy Mario as a character and his friends and siblings, and enemies too, beyond just what you would in an open world game.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know for Mario Party. The whole cast of Super Mario Brothers is on it. You're either collaborating or sometimes you're collaborating.
Yeah,
right?
There are games that are all, like the mini games. Basically, for those who are unfamiliar with Mario Party, you're basically playing a board game on the screen, and there are mini games every turn or every round, where sometimes you'll be split into everyone's for themselves, 2v2. 3v1, so there is some collaboration sometimes, some competitiveness, healthy competition, and it allows for multiplayer, and that's the case for a lot of Mario games.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So a distinction from Zelda games, because I believe those are all one player.
Correct.
Okay.
But the Zelda games standalone don't even rely on these gimmicks to make their series better.
Different sports, tennis, golf. Parties,
go-karts,
gimmicks, as Council says. All right, so let me get to question number 2. All right, because I know the two franchises. I've played both of them, a couple of different games on each franchise size. Tell me about some interesting facts. Something surprised me. Tell me something I wouldn't know about your franchise. I know the games, but maybe there's something I am just completely clueless to. So let me know.
I'll let you know.
Then I'll speak at once.
Okay. So yes, the Zelda games, compared to the Mario games, even the mainstream or mainline Super Mario series, which kind of have just very straightforward, basic stories, save the princess from Bowser is most of the what the games are. And yes, in Legend of Zelda, yes, Link is saving the princess from Ganondorf usually, or Ganon. But there is more of a story and lore to them, and they're told like out of sequence with one another. There's different versions of Link and different versions of Zelda over time, which is like really interesting. So the producer in 2007, Eiji Aonuma, confirmed the existence of 2 parallel timelines that branch from Ocarina of Time.
Right.
So there's the child timeline and the adult timeline. And Hyrule Historia also mentioned a 3rd branch named the Fallen Hero timeline, which resolved any contradictions between the timelines with respect to titles that were released before Ocarina of Time. So generally we have, before that, Hylia and the Hero of Time, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Creating a Champion states that everything before Breath of the Wild backstory is now faded to myth. So compared to other games that take place,
Do you know where Majora's Mask falls in there? Because I think that was one of the branches, right?
the child timeline, I believe. Yes, because he's still a child in that one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and do you even get to be an adult in that one?
I never played it because I know there was a clock on it. Like you had a certain amount of time, and it gave me anxiety, so I stopped.
It is an anxiety-inducing game, man. But yeah, compared to like some other kind of big RPG games that take place in fantasy worlds, the storyline in these Zelda games is kind of more in the background rather than these like, told in these long-winded cutscenes or like in-game, long text things that explain things. Rather, it's kind of in the background. It doesn't get in the way of the story, so you can approach any game without having to know, a bunch of backstory. You don't have to go like, oh, I've never played Zelda before. I guess at the start of the beginning, you could jump in Breath of the Wild and, be fine. Or any game. So, but within all that, it's detailed and intriguing and, as convoluted as these stories can go, and certainly more than Mario. So the origins of the world in the series stem from the three golden goddesses. Goddess of power created the earth. The goddess of wisdom bestowed order, including the spirit of law, science, and wizardry. And the goddess of courage created life. So they left behind the Triforce, which is a powerful artifact that would grant its possessor whatever their heart's desire. And it was entrusted initially to the goddess Hylia, who hid it from the dark forces, who was later reborn as Zelda in Skyloft. So, less complex than the Silmarillion, but also less boring. So over time, Zelda's descendants established the Kingdom of Hyrule, where we are today, and became its royal family, with the princesses all being named Zelda as after the goddess reincarnate, the initial Zelda. And again, throughout the games you play as various versions of Link, generally rescuing various versions of Zelda, and trying to stop Ganondorf from obtaining the Triforce and having this, unlimited power to do whatever he wants. And the depth of the lore makes the baseline story for each of these games more detailed, while, again, keeping the individual games from being unapproachable because of lore and a lot of backstory.
Mm-hmm. And I appreciate that, Counsel, but I am well aware of Hyrule's history. It's kind of insulting that you would just have to bring that out to me. Counsel, do you have anything for Mario that would just blow my socks off?
Yeah. So the Mario universe is a lot more dynamic than opposing counsel is leading you to believe.
Ooh.
The lore is there if you're looking for it. Starting with the fact that you may not know, Mario and Luigi, the two Mario brothers, are actually twins. And this was established in one of the spin-off games, Yoshi's Island, where the two baby boys are separated from each other, and Yoshi's trying to reunite them. The lore is also, shown.
So Yoshi's older than them?
He's a dinosaur.
Okay.
Dinosaurs existed before humans.
I mean, I know that dinosaurs as a whole have that specific dinosaur seemed like their pet. Because aren't there games where he comes out of an egg?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. We'll skip over that portion.
Comparing to opposing counsel stating that, the plot lines are often out of order in the Zelda universe. That's also similarly true in the Mario universe as well.
Okay. Is there an MMCU, Mario Cinematic Universe?
Maybe soon. And that you bring that up. The Mario movie that came out this year was kind of the origin story of the Mario brothers and their first entry into the Mushroom Kingdom.
Okay.
There have been other films as well. At least
talk about those.
Yeah, well, at least two of them in the past, and one has a cult following, and that was the American live action version, and there was another animated film from Japan in the 80s. But beyond movies and television, I kind of wanted to bring up something that you may be unfamiliar with, which is a manga called Super Mario Kun.
I know. Okay.
And it has 56 volumes that tells the whole plot of Mario, and it kind of follows Mario along through many of the games, the storylines of the games, starting with Super Mario World into Super Mario Odyssey. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there is a story there. It's not just Mario going through each level, one at a time. There's a lot of side characters, as I mentioned, that have a lot of their spin-offs, like Luigi's Haunted Mansion. And there's a lot more character development and backstory to a lot of these characters.
Okay.
And I won't get into all of it, but there's a lot there. If you'd like to know more, I can submit a follow-up brief.
Okay. All right. So yeah, councils, you've answered my questions. I think I have a lot to think about. I certainly am going to have another question, but at this time, I'm just going to ask everyone watching, everyone listening to please subscribe on YouTube, follow us on social media everywhere, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, what have you. Like and comment on our stuff anywhere you get your podcast. Thank you. Okay, so as always, we have our third question being the legal question. So at this time, talk legal to me, baby. You know what I want. Give me the legal question, or give me the legal answer to this question.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just tell me something legal about this shit.
That's the question. Well, Nintendo is notoriously litigious. Not our law firm. That's completely different lawyers hired by Nintendo.
Okay.
But that extends to Zelda. So Eric Point Crow Marino. He is a YouTuber who has about 1.6 million followers and is known for his Breath of the Wild videos. And he was responsible for putting together a multiplayer mod of that game. We talked a little bit ago about Zelda being first-person games, but he made a modified version that allowed 32 people to play together. And
interesting.
Okay. He would post videos online on YouTube of he and his friends doing various things, playing hide and seek all around Hyrule, or just kind of like exploring the map and doing different games and whatnot.
I think I saw them not too long ago.
Yeah, this was April of this year.
Yeah, when I was just hanging out with my horse named Horse at the stables, and I saw some people running around, playing hide and seek. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I just was a witness to this.
Horse named Horse. So in April of 2023, he posted another video, and he was claiming that Nintendo blocked 4 of his Breath of the Wild videos with DMCA takedown requests. And he tweeted that he was disappointed and emailed Nintendo to appeal the decision. And they responded instead by bombarding his channel with various strikes, even targeting videos that didn't feature the Breath of the Wild or mods of it. But even Breath of the Wild itself, just all his other videos. So he prepared a statement prepared by his lawyers, claiming the multiplayer mod is protected under the fair use doctrine. And in the video, he wondered if this would make streamers afraid to post videos about the then upcoming sequel to Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, which came out this year. So similarly, though, Nintendo's reaction to it is the same as its reaction to the Smash Brothers emulators that we talked about. And hey, at least they're consistent. They seem to be particularly litigious when it came to mods of its game.
Yeah.
And they have called emulators the greatest threat to date of the intellectual property rights of video game developers. Moreno, for his side, claims it's fair use, which allows the use of a copyrighted work for purposes like criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, or research. Will this apply here is kind of hard to say because how the courts apply this doctrine can vary from case to case, and there's a 4-factor test that is open to interpretation. But lawyer Alex Liturgis Koyanis states that mods are infringement on their face and would involve the use of copyrighted work to create a derivative work. However, whether or not he has a good claim in theory, fair use or not, in practice, this is often not going to be moot, because of litigation costs. These large multi-billion-dollar companies can scare away people by just threatening even a lawsuit and intimidate people into walking away. So I just want to credit, though, the Wired article that gave me a lot of this information called Nintendo's Copyright Strikes Push Away Its Biggest Fans by Will Bedingfield. And I want to end with, at least the answer to this question, with this quote from him that said, these legal maneuvers diminish the unique power of interactive works of art. Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, for example, will feature the most awesome sandbox the company has ever conceived, a wonderland of mushroomed shields and flying boats, contraptions that seem inspired by the hijinks of Zelda streamers. These are worlds that reward imagination, but with each new legal claim, Nintendo limits which imaginations count.
Okay. They're limiting it to the people that made the game.
It's true.
Okay, so interesting. So another yet another lawsuit brought by Nintendo.
Correct.
Because we did talk about the Super Smash Brothers and how they were beating down these gamers that wanted to play during COVID in the prior episode. So interesting. Okay, thanks, Mucci. Consul?
Yeah, Your Honor, before I get into my answer to your legal question,
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure that you received my supplemental brief and had some chance to read it.
Yeah, so I did see the piece of paper that you pushed over to me about 30 seconds ago. Somehow it's 10 pages long. I have not read it fully. I'll be clear on that.
Okay, Your Honor. Well, just in brief, I will summarize.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to expand on the...
Counsel, did you receive a copy of this?
I did not.
Okay, well,
it's there on the table if you want it.
Just one copy.
You can tear it in half. Your Honor, I just wanted to expand on the dynamic nature of Mario as a character.
okay.
I think we're all familiar mostly with the Super Mushroom, which turns small Mario into Super Mario. Mm-hmm. But there are just so many more power-ups that Mario has access to in his games, in his universe, that allow him to have different powers and different suits, look a little different, and act a little different. So just to name a few, there are like the Super Leaf, which turns him into Raccoon Mario. Various flowers, like the boomerang flower, which allows him to throw boomerangs, or the fire flower, which allows him to throw fireballs. And recently in Super Mario Bros. Wonder, there is an elephant fruit, that allows him to turn into an elephant and use his trunk to push his enemies out of the way.
Yeah, usually I feel like a lot of them are just like suits that he puts on, right? There's like a penguin suit too. There's like a raccoon suit where you see his face, but I think this one completely turns him into an elephant, right?
He does transform into Elephant Mario.
Okay.
Yes, that's
okay.
correct. Well, there's more in my brief. If you and my opposing counsel would like to read it later.
Okay.
Before the verdict.
Okay. So in terms of the legal question that I had asked, if you want to answer that question.
Yeah. So I think, it's been well established that Nintendo is quite litigious, but I did want to bring up something that you may be unfamiliar with, you and our listeners and viewers, that in the early 2000s, there was actually many complaints in New York that were brought to the New York Attorney General against Nintendo for my previously aforementioned favorite game of the series, Mario Party. There were a lot of injuries actually with Mario Party, and as a result of these injuries, Nintendo had agreed to provide protective gloves to approximately 1.2 million children who play the game Super Mario Party, and that could cost them up to $80 million at the time. And the reason for this was that there were mini games in this game, including Paddle Battle, Tug of War, Pedal Power, Castaways, and Deep Sea Divers that required the players to rapidly rotate the joystick to succeed at the virtual tasks. Mm-hmm. And in many cases, the frenetic activity caused hand injuries.
Sounds pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
I do remember some of those. The Deep Sea Diver one. Mm-hmm. Like you're going down for something, you have to like race everybody else to go down for something. Yeah. So, this was in the early 2000s on the N64, yep.
which to many, including Your Honor, is the best Nintendo console.
Yeah, of all time.
But just to
best there ever was, best there ever will be.
The controller that caused injuries to multiple kids.
Right. But if you get the gloves, if you got the gloves that Nintendo had agreed to provide, then you'd be protected from that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
All I can say is that Zelda has never injured people, as far as I know.
As far as you know.
Sounds like it might be too easy of a game.
It injured that one guy financially, I'm sure. The Big Bang killed his father, actually.
Hurt him bad. Hurt his feelings.
Hurt his feelings.
Well, the Big Bang did also end in the creation of dinosaurs like Yoshi.
Yeah. So anyways, let's get back to the heart of this case here. And let's get down to closings, okay? So normally we just wrap things up with a closing of essentially just telling me why your side is better. But in this case, I want you guys to tell me, because I know that Super Mario Brothers, they just came out with a movie, right? There's a animated movie with Chris Pratt being Mario. I don't know why they didn't go with the actual guy that plays Mario or voices Mario, but they went with Chris Pratt, probably for, box office, whatever. But The Legend of Zelda is also getting a live action, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Yeah. And so for your closings, I want you to tell me, on the Mario side, who do you think we should play Wario and Waluigi? I always want to say his name is Waluigi, but Waluigi. And then on Mucci's side, for Zelda, tell me who you think that they should cast for Link, for any of those characters. Zelda, Ganondorf, the main, the villain throughout, and just pitch them to me. And maybe they'll get cast because of this, because we're wildly popular.
Right. Well, I think to start, an actor who gives me Wario vibes is Danny DeVito. Particularly Frank from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I think he'd be perfectly cast as Wario. Kind of menacing, good at heart, maybe could be interpreted that way. Very diverse character. He also has the ability to transform into Ango Gablogian, the art critic. And I think that can translate over to Wario and different power-ups available to him.
Okay, so your pitch is for Danny DeVito, but not just Danny DeVito. Danny DeVito playing Frank, then playing Wario.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Just to be clear.
Right.
As far as his twin, because I'm assuming that Wario and Waluigi are also twins.
I actually am not sure about that, but I can send you a second supplemental brief to confirm.
Thank you.
For Waluigi, he's a little bit of a bumbling fool sometimes, kind of a little bit menacing, but kind of a goof. And I think someone who could play that well is Nathan Fielder. He's kind of tall and lanky, and he can make any situation very awkward. And I think Waluigi is also similar. But maybe Nathan Fielder playing Nathan Fielder, playing Waluigi.
Okay. So Waluigi went to a really good school, got really good grades.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay, I could see Danny DeVito. Nathan Fielder I was a little thrown off by, but that could probably work. I could see that working.
I think it's a casting that would be the right choice because it will draw in a crowd. I'm sure there's a lot of overlap with Mario fans and Nathan Fielder fans.
Probably.
Probably. It'll be good.
And it might be one of those castings where initially all the fans are like, what the hell are they thinking? What the hell are they thinking? And then after it comes out, they're like, whoa, that was a perfect casting choice.
Yeah, and he does have a new show on Showtime with Emma Stone, and I think that his audience is growing wider, and it will only grow even more with his casting as Waluigi.
Okay. All right, that's a strong pitch for Nathan Fielder. Mucci?
Well, so I probably have the benefit here of being able to talk about the main characters, but also maybe, more is expected of me. So
always.
As far as, casting the mains. So for Link, given that he's in a kind of big fantasy adventure series that's been coming out with movies, I would go with Timothée Chalamet, who's been doing the Dune movies.
I was
He's
hoping
the
you wouldn't
one.
say like Tom Holland.
No.
You went with someone similar, but okay.
Somewhat similar, yeah. Popular young actor who probably looks the part. I mean, he has like the long kind of, at least in Dune, he has the kind of long Link-like hair.
Okay.
He's in this kind of fantasy world. I just think it would fit for him to, be going on a quest in the desert planets of Dune, and also similarly, you can just see him in Hyrule as well.
Should he have words? Because in The Legend of Zelda, should he say anything?
Well, I already feel like no, or very few, I think. And I think that fits because I couldn't tell you what Timothée Chalamet's voice really sounds like. I don't think he speaks all that much in Dune. I think he's pretty quiet.
So it'd fit.
Yeah,
okay.
It'd fit. And as far as Ganondorf, I should say, I think like a Jason Momoa would be good. Just like a big buff, like really just ripped guy who is already, you can see Ganondorf is already pretty powerful, but like just wanting more and more power. You can just see that, and he's a bit menacing. Khal Drogo, his previous role in Game of Thrones as well. Also in the Game of Thrones vein, I was thinking as just another potential one would be like whoever the actor is that played the Mountain. I can't remember his name now, but that screams Ganondorf to me as well.
World's strongest man.
Yeah, right. So that just fits to me. You know, it's Ganondorf, just big hulking, massive man.
And then matched up with Timothy Chalamet, right?
So yes,
I mean that would there's size difference there.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Zelda.
Let's see. I was thinking, what jumped out to me was Anya Taylor-Joy.
I don't know who that is.
Sorry.
She was in the Queen's Gambit.
Queen's Gambit.
Gotcha.
Yeah, she's
That's what I thought it was, but I wasn't sure. Okay.
The Witch and the Northman as well. The Northman, I think, is what made me think of that. Just like the kind of that was old, like a Viking, story, and kind of this ancient tale that Zelda seems to fit in this realm. She seems very regal. Oh, she did play Princess Peach in the Mario movie.
Okay.
So,
all right. So
another princess. Yeah, a little crossover. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
she did it right. I'm not picking that up, right?
I think that's correct.
Yeah. Okay. Just making shit up here.
Okay, so I have heard enough from the two of you. I will make my decision now because there's certain things I've heard from both of you, and certain things that I didn't hear from either of you. Mucci, I appreciated the history of the Legend of Zelda and the open world concept that they kind of brought out to the gaming community. What I didn't hear, which is it's a pretty big deal in terms of the Legend of Zelda and the way that these games have progressed. The artwork and the art behind how these games are portrayed and shown on screen. I'm not really that big of a fan of it because it's getting a little too artsy for me. I was liking the from the N64 Ocarina of Time and on. A little bit after that, they started getting a little bit more realistic with the games, like looking more realistic, I should say. And I really like that. And then they kind of backtracked and started doing, they started doing some artwork that was a little different, and Link looks a little different. And but a lot of people are huge fans of that, and I didn't hear anything about that.
I think we need to get Ango Gablogian to critique this art.
But also, I figured Your Honor could just look outside and see the wonderful art of the world of Hyrule all around him.
Yeah, I mean, well, it looks.
Didn't want to pander too much.
It looks realistic to me. So, in terms of Mario, I love that you brought out all the stuff about what they do in their pastimes. Playing tennis, playing golf. That I play golf a lot, and I like that. So, in terms of my decision, what I'm going to do is and so here at OTR Debate, we love a good cliffhanger. So, you guys aren't going to find out who won this debate because we're going on hiatus for a little bit, and we'll tell you then. So, thanks for joining us. This has been OTR Debate.
Thanks.